Picture this. It's a wild night, and Haruyoshi Kuga, the absolute goat of exorcists, gets bodied. Why? Haters gonna hate. They were mad salty about his insane power. Our boy was the ultimate flex, but he fumbled the bag big time. He realizes he wasn't as clever as he needed to be in his first life, so he makes a mental note for his next go-round. He is gonna be way sharper this time, and not just some basic hero. Fast forward to his next life, and this dude is laying low. He's hiding his powers like a secret TikTok account nobody knows about, just pretending to be your average Joe. But here's the twist. He's not just chilling, he's got a strategy. He's trying to network with the people, those who are powerful. He ends up befriending the hero he meets at the academy. This isn't just some casual friendship. He's got her back for real. He's all about protecting her from whatever dangers come her way. So, Haruyoshi is playing the long game, being low-key but super strategic in how he navigates his new life. It's peak spooky hours, the moon's out, and demons are on a rampage. People are scrambling for cover, but our boy? He's been grinding for power since day one. His whole vibe? Can't lose if you're the strongest. He uses his magic and gets rid of all the demons to save people from them. He gains the power he wants and summons powerful Ayakashi monsters to be his servants, to become the strongest in every sense. On the awful night marking the end of history's strongest exorcist, his students are taken as hostages, and he has to oppose the Imperial, which he believes is all because he sought too much power and lost everything. While everything burns, he sees his students standing and crying in front of him. He believes that the court are coward for sending his favorite students after him. He realizes that what he lacks is cunning, so next time he will do better. He decides to start over again, but this time he won't fail in his next life. In the name of Seika Lamprouge, the ritual goes on to see the power Seika possesses. It is found that he lacks any magical power. Well, in this world, humans and demons coexist and magic is real. This is the home of the Lamprouge clan, an important clan of mages. He is reborn as Seika Lamprouge, its third son. He doesn't have any magical power, but has incredible spiritual power. Going into the forest, he decides to use his magic to complete his leaf Shikigami. Brother Glai comes to him and is about to punch him when suddenly the crows start biting him. Luft comes and stops the crows. Seika is surprised because he is the only one they do not attack. Seika is 7 years old, but because he is the child of a mistress, there is no celebration. He learns a lot and notices that the country is huge and similar in some ways to the land of Europe in his old world, but the civilization here is more advanced, peaceful, and wealthy. Sitting in his room, Yifa knocks on the door and brings him his shirt, which she found in the bushes. Seika assumes Glai is responsible. Glai comes in and asks Yifa what she is doing there. Glai starts making fun of Seika for going to Imperial Laudanea Magic Academy, unlike him. It is a famous school that produces many court mages. Meanwhile, their father arrives and Seika asks if he can come along to learn magic. They start showcasing their magical powers one by one. Glai asks Seika to hold the wand and give it a try since Dad is watching. Seika swears a vow that he will not seek power or try to become strong. Though he doesn't want to reveal his spells here because the strong always exploit the weak, he shows his immense magical powers. They are shocked to see his blue fireball with no incantation. Father tells them there are examples of people who can use magic without being born with it. He requests their father to teach him magic, but he refuses because there are no stories of mages born without magic becoming great successes. So he suggests Seika focus on his studies. Days and months pass, and soon he is 11. In his last life, he defeated and sealed many powerful Ayakashi and forced them to serve him in battle. He decides to make his first Ayakashi the least threatening. He successfully prepares the door which opens to reveal a girl. She starts cuddling Seika, calling him by his old name, Haruyoshi. In his last life, Yuki was a beautiful woman, but now she looks younger. She asks him to make a request about what she can do for him. However, he refuses because he cannot let anybody see her. On the contrary, Glai is yelling at Yifa, asking her to come into his bedroom tonight so that he can teach her. Seika sees Glai and tells him to make it quick, as he has something important to discuss with Yifa. Glai punches Seika, but he blocks the punch. He saves Yifa and instructs her not to go into Glai's room. They go outside and see an injured baby carbuncle. Seika uses his magic and heals the baby carbuncle. Seika tells Aoife that he has seen her eyes following the spirits of animals. He discovers Aoife's secret. She tells him about her elementals which gather around magic, especially around Seika's belongings. Because of them, she found his jacket. She tells him that the elements listen to her. He remembers in his last life that Bakigitsune foxes could command Hitodama spirits. He hopes to find someone with that talent, though he did not expect to find her so quickly. He asks her if she is interested in magic. However, she doesn't think she has enough magical power to cast spells. Seika tells her she doesn't need magical powers and shows her a fire, instructing her to make it disappear as she tried with the wind elementals. She tries and makes it disappear. Seika realizes that although she is not strong enough, she is worth making an ally. He decides to train her once a week. Time passes. Seika turns 12 today. His brothers come to him. Glai offers to train him for the army. Luft stops Glai, offering to teach Seika how to fight with swords. Meanwhile, 2 servants come in and inform them about a monster. They see an elder newt. He orders them to close the windows and get deeper into the mansion. Seika runs to save Aoife. The monster is about to attack them. Seika takes the monster to the other side, and all the people inside the castle watch him. He attacks and kills the monster using a poison that is harmless to humans but effective against lizards. They are all shocked to see him defeat the elder newt with a single attack. He is served a scrumptious evening dinner because of his victory over the elder newt. His father feels proud of him and asks how he knew the elder newt was weak to fire. He tells his father that he read about it in a book once. Father appreciates him and feels obligated to reward him. Seika stands up and requests his father to let him go to the Lodanea Magic Academy. Father agrees but informs him that he must pass the exam to do so. Seika requests his father to allow Aoife to accompany him as his servant. Father refuses because Aoife has no magical talents. Seika instructs Aoife to shout, "Flaminaut," and create the biggest fireball she can. Aoife does as instructed and shows a mid-rank spell. Father agrees to send Aoife too, but Glai starts yelling because the Lamprouge clan never allows 2 brothers to follow the same path. So, Father changes his mind and decides to send Glai to the army because he has physical strength and a talent for swordsmanship. Dad's not pulling punches. He straight up calls out Glai for wasting time flexing his sword skills and rolling with a sus crew. Glai's not having it though. He throws down the gauntlet, challenging Seika to a duel. The winner takes the golden ticket to the academy. It is settled that the duel will take place at noon tomorrow, without the use of real swords or any mid-rank magic or higher. At night, Seika sits in his room making shikigami. All of a sudden, the door knocks, and Brother Luft comes in to talk to him. He wishes him a happy birthday, and gifts him a glass pen. He also apologizes for not being kinder and requests him to go easy on Glai tomorrow. Seika is admiring the pen when he suddenly instructs Yuki to hide. Glai is shouting outside his window, demanding that Seika duel immediately. He tells Seika that he only got lucky enough to have a monster show up and defeat it. He states that the fight goes on until one of them surrenders or cannot continue. He attacks Seika with mid-range magic, but Seika remains unharmed. Seika uses his magic, causing Glai to be unable to move his arm. Seika instructs him to tell Dad in the morning that he surrendered. Yuki asks Seika if it is safe to leave Glai alive after he has shown some of his power. Well, Seika has been preparing for this for 6 months. He meets Bonds, who is glad to serve him once again. He instructs Bonds to follow his shikigami around the mountain and find an elder newt. However, before he summons Bonds, he has already checked what monsters are on the mountain. Everything goes according to plan. However, Yuki believes he could have anything he wants, thinking it is an easy world filled with weak humans. He asks Yuki if she forgets that he was killed in his previous life by weak humans. So in this life, he wants to be one of them. But this time, he will be smart, so he won't fail anymore. Spring comes, and now he is about to leave for the magic school. Ruft delivers their father's message to work hard to Seika. He is informed that he will be spending 7 days in a carriage on the way to Lodanea. On the way to the academy, Seika gives Aoife a necklace with magic stones, thinking it will draw the elementals to her. Seika feels a bit unwell because he cannot handle carriages. Yifa shows Seika that they are almost at Academy City Lodonea. Father looks at the time and thinks that Seika must have reached the academy by now. He wonders if it has been that long since he came here. He remembers a memory when he was given the child of Gilbert. His younger brother Gilbert was a strange man. He said he wanted to see the big wide world and became an adventurer as soon as he graduated. He went missing in demon territory. A baby with black hair and black eyes, a rarity in this country, started using magic at the age of 1. Ruft kept his distance from Seika, and Glai came to see him as an enemy. He wonders if he could be this child of Gilbert and a demon, but Seika has no magical power. He thinks that it was not some kind of fireball, but in fact some kind of ore that was set alight. Even in the case of the elder Newt, it almost seemed like it was slain by poison. He feels bad for what he did to Glai, but he knows that Seika could become a hero for the nation or a demon king who destroys people, depending on his environment. He hopes the academy will be a good place for him. On the contrary, they reach their rooms when Seika asks Aoife if she should come into his room at night. He tells her that he is not hungry, so she doesn't need to come. Seika goes into his room as he does not understand for what purpose she is asking. As soon as she leaves, Yuki tells Seika that Aoife is head over heels in love with him. She is planning to take advantage of her status as a slave to get him to sleep with her. Though Yuki is just an Ayakashi, she believes she knows more about girls. The next day, they arrive at the academy, where they, along with other exam takers, are instructed to line up. The students are impressed to learn that Seika belongs to the famous Lamprouge family. The girl instructs them to place their hands on a crystal, which will shine white if they have aptitude for all 4 elements. Fire, water, wind, and earth are the 4 elements around which the unique magic system is based. Aoife puts her hand on the crystal and finds that she has fire and wind aptitude. When Seika puts his hand on the crystal, it does not react, leading Seika to say that he seems to have no magical powers. He takes the test without magical powers, prompting other students to think he will use his connections to get in. Meanwhile, a commoner girl named Amu comes and puts her hand on the crystal. The crystal shines white, meaning she has aptitude for all 4 elements. Seika thanks her, but she clarifies that she did not do it for him. She also warns him to stay away from her as she is sure he will use his family connections to get in. Seika knows her from his old life but is surprised because her hair is a different color. Galeos is given the order to crush the hero. They finish their written exam. However, Aoife is worried because she made several mistakes. Seika sees Amu with a sword and is excited to see how strong she is. It is time for the practical exam. The instructor instructs the students to aim for the target and unleash their magic. He tells them that starting from the left, the targets are fire, earth, water, wind, light, and dark. They will earn points for each target hit, so they should aim to hit as many as possible. Students begin showcasing their magic powers, but Seika thinks they are not doing great. When it's Aoife's turn, she uses Flaminaut, a mid-rank spell without any incantation. She then moves to the next target and uses her Wind Lance, successfully blowing it apart. Seika becomes teary watching his apprentice grow. Now it's Seika's turn. He approaches the first target and uses his blue flames. For the next target, he employs a spell of directional metal, breaking the target and turning it into pyrite cubes. He moves to the next target and uses his ice and water spell. His magic astonishes everyone. That evening, the pink-haired teacher asks the glasses-wearing teacher how the exams went. She inquires if he knows how much power Seika and his servant possess. The teacher replies that nothing surprises him after today. He adds that Amu, who is even more powerful than both of them, was also there today. The pink-haired teacher thinks that Amu might be the hero. The next morning, Seika and Aoife go to check the results list. They see Seika ranked 3rd, Aoife ranked 2nd, and the first is Amu. Several days after the announcement, an official invitation is sent to the inn where they are staying. They both officially enrolled at the academy. Today is the entrance ceremony. On their way there, Aoife notices dark elementals. They see a magic circle, but Seika tells her that since it belongs to the school, he doesn't think they should mess with it. However, without telling Aoife, he spreads his Ayakashi around the area. They enter the hall, filled with delicious food. Amu comes to the stage to give a speech as the representative for the new students. She tells everyone that she came here for one reason, to get stronger. During her speech, Seika feels the arrival of demons. Suddenly, the door breaks open and demons start attacking. It seems they are searching for someone. Amyu attacks the demons with her sword, and Seika spots the caster, instructing Ifa to go home while he handles some unfinished business. Seika rolls up on the caster, who's spitting bars about him like it's a diss track. The caster's shook. What's this human kid doing here? Cocky Monster thinks he's unbeatable and calls in his squad, but Seika's not playing. He hits him with that teleport magic, and it's game over for the whole crew. Gulgaleos then decides to fight Seika himself. He introduces himself as a demon of metal who controls fire and earth. Seika realizes that Gulgaleos can see his invisible Hitogata. Galeos makes several attacks, but none harms Seika. When Galeos attacks, Seika dodges, but Galeos teleports his blade, changing its course. Being a devil, he can also use dark teleportation magic. Seika dodges again, but Galeos cuts his arm and tells him he is ignorant. As blood drips from Seika, he asks Galeos whom he is looking for. Galeos replies that he seeks the hero because the prophecy from 12 years ago was true, and he has found her tonight. He is talking about Amyu. He then attacks Seika again, cutting him with his blade. Believing it is over, he prepares to leave, but he hears the same poem again and sees Seika standing there. Galeos does not understand how he is still alive and throws his blade at Seika once more. Seika comes back to life again, and the blade of Galeos disappears. He tells Galeos that he simply set a spell to eliminate anything that did not belong. Galeos decides to kill him for good and the hero before she can become the strongest. Seika disagrees with his definition of strongest, stating that he used to be the strongest, but Galeos does not believe him and attacks again. Seika dodges and uses his magical spells, but Galeos teleports away to escape. Galeos inserts his blade into Seika's body again, but Seika survives and retaliates. He explains that splitting salt into two will yield one with Kai and metal, meaning that salt contains metal and its crystals react violently with water. Galeos has never heard of such metal. Seika suggests he study more because he lacks knowledge. However, Galeos insists he will continue to fight because those strange charms of Seika's will soon run low. Seika reveals his Ayakashi and tells Galeos he has been making them for years. He declares he will end today's banquet by feeding his body to his servants. He summons Mizuchi, shocking Galeos, as even the Demon King could not summon a dragon. The dragon, Ryu, devours Galeos. Seika tries to return Mizuchi to where it came from, but sees it trying to flee. He uses his Ayakashi to capture it again, understanding why Mizuchi, so weak, attempted to rebel. Yuki finds Seika and hugs him, having been hiding because she didn't think she could help. She asks Seika if he is sure he wants to use a valuable Hitogata sacrifice on someone so weak. However, he plans to die 3 or 4 times just to ensure they work. He returns to the hall where he sees all the lesser demons defeated by Amyu. He realizes it doesn't matter how strong a person is. The people around them can drag them down and crush them. He learned this in his last life, which is why he wants someone strong instead of himself in this life. He believes serving under the strongest person is the smartest way to live. He decides to befriend Amyu and be someone she can trust. He knows that she may be crushed in the end, and it may be sad, but that's all. This time, he will be happy. So he is determined to make Amyu the strongest, even if he has to beat the Demon King himself. A month has passed since he came to the academy. While going to class, he sees Amyu. His plan for this life is really simple. He is planning to make friends with someone powerful and reap the benefits. He believes this will ensure that he does not meet the same end he did in his last life. He says hi, but she ignores him and instructs him not to say hi ever again. He feels perfectly fine because he knows it will require some time to become friends with her. By mistake, Mr. Cordell throws a catalyst he uses in his research. It is basically blood from a monster mixed with herbs and ores and boiled. He is trying to take it to the floor above him. However, dark magic, which controls things like gravity, space, and time, is tough for him, so it falls. He apologizes and takes the stench with him. They go into the class of Miss Karen, who tells them they will be on break next week to celebrate the school's anniversary. She asks Amyu and Ifa, who are their top students, to help. She informs them that they will be asked to go into Lodania Forest and deliver the new students' roster as an offering. Seika has a bad feeling about going there, so he asks Miss Karen what she would do if Aoife refuses. She tells him that she would ask the third top student to go. Seika informs Miss Karen that Aoife refuses and he will go in her place. After class, he apologizes to Aoife, but she knows he must have his reasons for doing this. She asks him if he wants to help Amyu and stop things from getting worse for her. She asks him if girls like her are his type. He refuses and clarifies that he only wants to be friends with her because of the level of power she possesses. She tells him that she is also getting stronger, but Seika asks her if she can imagine what it is like to have everyone singing their praises and fearing them. He knows that Amyu is that powerful. Anyway, she assures him of her help, but requests that he not behave with her like he did in class, because she doesn't like when people talk badly about him. The day of the ceremony comes. On the way, Amyu asks him what he is trying to accomplish. She questions him if Seika is not enough for him and if he wants to have fun with classmates too. He clarifies that his relationship with Aoife is not like that. All of a sudden, she feels some sort of pain, and they both happen to see a magic circle. They find themselves in an unknown place because of that magic circle, and monsters appear. Amyu kills the monsters using her sword, but one of the monsters is about to kill her, so Seika uses his spell and kills the monster with his wooden stake. They are walking blindly when they should find the exit. Amyu knows the survival rate inside a dungeon is low, and they don't know where they have been teleported. Seika lights up the dungeon with his Shikigami, guiding their way forward. Meanwhile, he's got his surface Shikigami on recon duty, searching for their location. In a galaxy brain move, he transforms the Shikigami he left at school into honeybees. These little buzzing detectives will give them a heads up when they're near the exit. Suddenly, the monsters appear, but Amyu kills all of them. However, she fails to kill one that attacks her. Seika uses his powers to kill the monster. He sees that Amyu has fainted, so he uses his magic curse and summons a giant centipede, which kills the remaining monsters. After some time, Amyu regains her consciousness and sees that Seika has healed her wounds. He basically moved any wounds she had into a hitogata and puts up a barrier, which helps her get rid of her headache. He tells her that the curses cannot reach her in this barrier, and he asks her when the symptoms occurred. She doesn't think it is a curse, although it started when she came to school. Additionally, she also did not see a curse sigil anywhere on her. She asks him to turn around for a second, takes off her clothes, and lets him see if there are any curse sigils. He thinks it is a curse because the barrier is working, and he also lets her know that it can be done remotely. However, he asks her to give him a strand of her hair and hands over a substitute for her. She asks him what elements he can use, but he does not know what he is using. She confirms if there is really nothing between him and Aoife, and asks him if he has never kissed her. He tells her that he and Aoife are like family, but she laughs at how a noble and a slave can be family. He tells her that he is the son of a mistress, so he never really belonged at home, and she was the one who spoke to him nicely. Anyway, in reality, he does not trust people, and does not want to get emotionally attached. He asks her about her family, and she tells him that her mom is an important figure in the guild, while her father is an adventurer. He changes the question and asks her what she likes, to which she responds that she loves fighting, but her parents told her she was weird. She once led a large group on an excursion when half of them perished, but she insisted on going on another adventure, leading some to accuse her of being insane and addicted to combat. She believes she is a weirdo and enjoys fighting, but Seika disagrees. He thinks that the environment she was born into simply hasn't arrived yet. Although Seika is aware that this means they are prepared for a world at war, she believes it will never happen. He asks her if she has any other interests because he doesn't think she is a freak. He thinks she enjoys discussing sex, but she gets angry and punches him. However, she also thanks him for saving her, and they decide to enjoy this adventure by beating up the monsters. They both kill the monsters together and happen to see a Naga, who is the boss of the dungeon. They go inside to kill the Naga. Seika uses his magic on it, which spits acid, while Amyu gives it blows with her sword. They use their techniques to kill the Naga. Amyu delivers the final hit and kills the dungeon boss. She hugs Seika as she has never beaten a dungeon boss before. She sees Seika smiling, which confuses her about what she has done right now. Seika wanted to give Amyu some experience, which is why he did not leave the place even though he found the exit. They see a mithril sword sealed in its arm, but since it has already lost its power, he takes it out and gives it to Amyu. He also finds a ring from which he feels strength, even though there is no magic circle or writing on it. Anyway, he tells Amyu that it was fun being with her and they can go on another adventure if they become adventurers. They both escape the dungeon safely, and the teacher asks them all sorts of questions. He tells them everything except the curse on Amyu and his magic spells. However, the teachers have no idea about the dungeon, and the magic circle has already disappeared, so they never find out who put it there. He goes to Mr. Cordell to return what he borrowed from him. He asks Mr. Cordell if his ritual is going well, because Amyu feels fine now. It is hard for him to believe that the monster could get inside the school to build a circle of that size, though he has powerful teleportation magic. Then, the dungeon incident happens, which means someone in the school is behind it. Mr. Cordell did not leave any evidence at all, so he asks Seika how he figured it out. He tells Mr. Cordell to reveal his true form, and he takes off his glasses. He is human, though. Seika asks him if he wanted to kill the hero. He asks if he created that spell himself, and concludes that he must be a genius. He is glad to hear that Seika knows the value of this, but he tells him that he needs to die. He is about to attack Seika when Seika asks him if he realizes the curse is not targeting her right now. He shows Mr. Cordell what he is targeting instead. He tells Mr. Cordell that he set the target of the curse as anyone bathed in demon blood, and Amyu was covered in demon blood during the battle. So now he is helpless under the conditions he set for himself. Mr. Cordell is shocked by how Seika discovered his curse. Regardless, Seika summons a demon and gets bathed in its blood. He casts a spell and tells Mr. Cordell that the spell has now transferred to him. He is unable to believe that Seika took his spell and survived. Seika says the words that he worships him, Izanami no Ukami, the Most High. In the halls of the hallowed dead in the underworld, he lies, crawling with maggots and surrounded by 8 gods of thunder. May the foul, disgusting hags of the underworld devour all curses, spells, and hatred and return them to their owners. Mr. Cordell asks him who he is. Anyway, he questions Mr. Cordell if he doesn't know that he who curses someone digs 2 graves. Mr. Cordell spits blood and dies right there. Seika believes curses are kind of his specialty. Yuki asks him if he knew Mr. Cordell was the one. He tells Yuki that his Shikigami showed him that there was pollen from a flower that only blooms near the magic circle on his body. Seika is now able to embark on a semblance of a normal school life. He gifts the ring he discovered to Ifa. Spotting Amyu, he greets her, but she once more admonishes him not to speak to her ever again. Amyu then approaches Yifa, expressing her gratitude for assisting her with her studies the previous day. Seika is bewildered, unable to comprehend what he might have done to provoke Amyu's behavior. However, Yuki suggests that she is simply feeling shy. It is their first day as sophomores. However, Amyu believes it is all thanks to Yifa and Seika. While they eat their food, the vice principal arrives and instructs Seika and Ifa to come to the principal's office tomorrow evening. Seika feels a sense of unease about this. Seika's jaw drops when he steps into the principal's office. Plot twist: the Imperial Magic Academy is run by a demi-human. She's giving off major, "I know you've seen some stuff" vibes, clearly thinking Seika's confidence comes from his wild experiences. When she asks if he knows his father, he realizes she is referring to his uncle. Seika has never heard anything about his father having siblings. She informs Seika that she wants him to enter a mixed disciplines combat tournament being held in the capital. A new student, Mabel Crane, enters the room. The academy has been granted 2 slots for the tournament, one for Mabel and the other for Seika, alongside Ifa. Amyu is furious because she is not invited, but Seika feels a bit curious. The rules of the academy have changed this year. Magic is now allowed, and the academy wants to boost its reputation. Yifa speculates that they chose Seika because he returned alive and defeated the Elder Newt previously. She mentions that the reason for selecting Seika is that he is simply better. This infuriates Amyu, as she believes she is superior with a sword. The winning prize is a considerable amount of money and a chance to join the Royal Guards. Despite her lack of interest in participating, she resents that they did not invite her. She questions why Yifa was selected, asking if she can use her spells on humans. Yifa responds that some people are reckless enough to use their magic without hesitation. Seika thinks he might be one of the reckless individuals she refers to. Amyu suspects that Mabel is likely the choice of some noble wanting her to appear in the tournament to enhance her resume. She is certain Mabel has never experienced hardship, and when Mabel arrives, she bluntly tells Amyu that she is the one who has never faced adversity. Mabel claims that Amyu was not chosen because she is weak, which infuriates Amyu further. She demands that the other two students hand her their swords. As they pick up their swords, Seika believes it is an excellent opportunity to witness Mabel's power. Amyu charges at Mabel but is easily blocked and defeated. Although Amyu thought they were not supposed to use magic, Mabel employs her dark magic. Seika observes her utilizing dark magic and realizes they should take this seriously. This is not a tournament where no one gets hurt. Later, Seika finds himself in a carriage with Mabel, heading toward the capital, accompanied by Amyu and Yifa. Amyu accompanies them because she wants to witness Mabel's fight. Seika feels unwell due to motion sickness, prompting Mabel to mock him. Amyu notices Mabel's lack of respect toward her upperclassmen. Mabel asserts that she is of the same age as them, but Yifa corrects her, mentioning that Mabel is actually a year older than everyone in the carriage. The conversation continues among them, excluding Mabel. Eventually, they reach the capital, and Amyu is awed by the towering buildings. They exit the carriage and head toward the combat grounds, but Mabel vanishes without a word. Amyu informs them that they have to walk a considerable distance to reach the combat ground. Upon arriving, Seika notices the tournament board. He sees that if both Mabel and he win, they will face each other in the semi-finals. Amyu does not observe any renowned adventurers participating in a tournament like this. After gathering what he wants, he decides to rest. Amyu tells Yifa that sometimes men prefer solitude. After Yifa and Amyu leave to explore the city until evening, Seika resolves to investigate why the academy chose to send him instead of Amyu. The time arrives for the prestigious capital sword fighting tournament to commence. Half of the entrants are mages because the rules have changed this year. They receive amulets that absorb damage on behalf of the owner and break when too much is absorbed. Seika is the first contestant, and his opponent is Dennis Regan, the mad dog speedster from the Garl's mercenary band. Dennis is a former noble disowned by Viscount Regan for his misbehavior. The commentator expresses excitement over the match between a mage and a swordsman. Dennis boasts that he can kill a mage 10 times before they finish chanting their spells. The first match begins, and Dennis immediately attacks Seika. Seika uses his spell of internal release and defeats him effortlessly, dodging Dennis's charge with speed too swift to see. After winning, Yuki asks Seika how many matches he plans to win, cautioning him that it may be unwise to stand out too much. However, Seika is using too many shiki at once, which worries Yuki. Next, it is time for the entry of Bellum, the finest student of Sageford. His opponent is Kyle, a guard from the Rugrock Merchant Association. Due to Kyle's peculiar appearance, they are unsure whether he is a mage or a swordsman. The match begins, and Seika observes Bellum's face twisting with fear as Kyle approaches him, ultimately killing him. The commentator announces Kyle's victory and the first fatality of the tournament. Seika notices the audience's excitement and realizes that even in this world, people enjoy watching others die. He suspects Kyle is a veteran killer. Although he is announced as a guard from the Rugrock Merchant Association, Seika believes that is a facade. He thinks Kyle has a dark history, sent from who knows where. Seika enters the battleground to face Labanare, the puppeteer, who informs him that she has specialized her skills for anti-magic combat. The battle begins, and Seika summons his sickle weasel. Labanare's golem falls apart, and she surrenders, leading to Seika's victory. He tells Yuki that summoners are not allowed in this tournament, yet he somehow manages to use one. Returning to Yifa, he finds her a bit worried after witnessing Kyle's fight. Amyu feels bored watching Seika finish his battle so quickly. She asks him if he plans to accept the offer to join the Royal Guard, but he replies that he will refuse. While Amyu can't imagine Seika losing, he thinks of the match as akin to playing with a puppy. Amyu then tells Yifa to stop flirting with Seika because Mabel is about to fight. Mabel makes it through the first round easily, and Seika wonders how she will fare in this next match. Mabel's opponent is Haulo, a powerful earth mage with considerable experience. As the battle begins, he continuously uses his magic to direct rock blasts at her, but Mabel deftly counters all of them. When Haulo unleashes greater magic, Mabel anticipates it, triggering the magic right after she throws her counter or before the attack lands. This catches Seika's attention, as it is no small feat. Haulo surrenders immediately, and the commentator announces Mabel's victory as the red-haired hero. Seika wonders why she is referred to as a hero, and Amu explains that Mabel is the second hero ever to exist. In the early morning, Seika notices a demon spy sending a message via pigeon. He asks the spy what message he sent. The spy turns to leave but immediately attacks Seika, who notices him and avoids the attack. Seika tells the demon spy that he overheard him conversing with an informant using his shiki. When he demands to know what the spy was going to report, the spy stubbornly refuses to answer. Seika summons Satori, an Ayakashi capable of reading minds. Again, he asks the spy whom he reports to. Satori reads the demon's mind and reveals that he reports to Bol Bofus, the slaughter baron. When Seika inquires about the boss, the spy claims not to know, but Satori reads the words, "Conjecture in danger, hero," from his mind. Seika asks if there are indeed two devils involved, and Satori confirms the words, "Demon territory, east-northwest, near the imperial border, and the commercial resources located outside the city," implying it concerns the hero. The spy's thoughts reveal confusion about how Seika knows of the hero's birth. Seika then asks for the hero's name, and the answer is Mabel Crane. He inquires how the spy knows she is the hero, learning that the year of her birth matches that of the prophecy. Furthermore, she has the right sex, the right hair color, and is strong. Both the spy and an assassin sent to the school last year have disappeared, leading them to conclude, Mabel Crane is the hero. All informants speak of her. Seika rewards Satori and allows her to consume the spy. He now understands that the school wants the false hero Mabel to win, attracting attention so that Amu, the true hero, can be saved. He believes that when Cordell discovered Amu's identity as the hero, the school likely did as well. By eliminating the spy and the assassin, the demons lost track of her true identity, yet he is uncertain why the principal called him here. The next day, Kyle, the evil eye user, wins his second match. Rhaenus, a young knight, easily wins his second match as well. Both he and Mabel also secure victories against their opponents. Now it's Seika versus Mabel in the semifinals, and she tells him to forfeit. He refuses, but she warns him that if he doesn't want to die, he must concede. Rhaenus is about to face Kyle, the evil eye swordsman. Their battle commences, with Rhaenus using his magic to protect himself from Kyle's evil eye. He attempts to halt Kyle's advance with spells, but all his efforts fail. Amu observes that Kyle can use magic too. Rhaenus charges to attack, but Kyle stops him. The whistle blows, and the judges announce Kyle as the winner. That night, Seika waits to return to the academy instead of celebrating his victories. As he is about to sleep, he suddenly sees Mabel preparing to attack. He saves Yuki, who lies beside him in her human form, from the strike. Mabel enters his room, and Seika remarks that it is rude to interrupt a man's sleep. They both crash through the window during their scuffle. Seika uses spells against her, but Mabel manages to stab him with her dagger. He dodges just in time. Realizing that if Mabel has come to take his life, it would be dangerous to let her go. A man arrives and stops their racket. Mabel attacks the man and vanishes. Seika explains to Yuki that this was a trial run for tomorrow's battle, and chose to spend the night with her because she came all the way to his room to see him. Seika approaches her and tells her that he did not come to fight. He notices that she struggles with the dagger, as she is more accustomed to using heavier weapons. He sits down and explains that he came to talk with her. He asks what troubles her, hoping to change her mind. She reveals that she simply wants to injure him so he will forfeit the fight tomorrow. She urges him to forfeit, expressing that she won't be able to hold back against him. He understands that his role is to win and act as a false hero to draw the demon's attention. Curious, he asks Mabel why this fight is so important to her. She explains that her purpose is to be killed by the swordsman with the evil eye, convincing the demons that the hero is dead. The Rugrock Merchants Association captures promising slave children, and transforms them into mercenaries. Both she and Kyle were trained by them. The association aims to test whether Kyle has become a perfect mercenary. To achieve this, they drill a hole in the skull and implant magic into the brain, causing the individual to cease feeling fear, anger, or hesitation, fundamentally altering their identity. The children gathered by the association were put into groups of 4 at the training camp. The grown-ups tell them all the time to help each other and care for each other. Only one of the 4 is given the surgery, and by killing the other 3 friends, a person becomes a mercenary. The last of the 3 friends Kyle has to kill is her. She tells him that she doesn't care about the hero, the test, the academy, or the Merchants Association. She wants to kill Kyle because he killed her brother. Seika knows she is lying, and Kyle is her brother. She sees Seika knows everything. She tells him before Kyle got the surgery, he said her to set him free if he ever stopped being him. She wants to set him free if any part of her brother is still inside that man. Seika decide to defeat Kyle in the finals, but she disagree with him and want to kill Kyle because she don't have a choice. He says her to go back to the academy and promised her that he won't let anybody touch her. Apart from this, he believes that if Kyle wants anything, it is not death. It is for his sister to be free. However, she informs him that she will use her full power tomorrow. Yuki observes that Seika cannot resist helping those in trouble, even in this life. The next day, Mabel and Seika stand in front of each other. The match begins, and Mabel attacks Seika, but he dodges all of her strikes. He uses his spell of internal release, and then the spell of binding vines. He continues employing his spells and easily defeats Mabel. The time for the final comes. Seika is now fighting with Kyle. Kyle asks Seika if Mabel is alive and says that he can now kill her, as he was told to kill her. The battle begins. Seika summons Anbanoyasu. The audience is unable to see anything. He starts using multiple spells on Kyle. He summons Ushioni, who attacks Kyle. He sees a spell seal on Kyle, though the barrier is working, but Kyle got infected first. Kyle tells Seika to apologize her on behalf of him, and dies. Seika decides to bring the dead back to life and begins using his spells. Yuki pleads with him to stop, reminding him that he chose to hide his power in this life. She asks if he has forgotten the reason he had to reincarnate. He halts his spells. The tournament has concluded. He informs everyone that the reason Kyle disappeared is that he destroyed him without leaving a trace. The tournament committee awards him the medal, and he moves Kyle's body into another phase of space to carry it out. He tells Mabel that her brother kept calling her name and asked him to apologize for her 4-leaf clover. She reveals to Seika that her brother accidentally broke a 4-leaf clover hairpin she cherished, and she begins to cry upon hearing this. They return to Amyu and Ifa, where Amyu hands her a sword to fight with, but this time without magic. Amyu wins and boasts that she can perform the same trick with gravity magic. Mabel wonders if she is merely trying to show off. Amyu thinks that Mabel is not the quiet type of little sister. She is always hidden behind her big brother. Amyu assumes the reason Mabel entered the tournament was that it was her last chance to do so. She tells Mabel that she has been bored without a training partner at school and offers to practice with her for a while. Mabel agrees, and they return to the academy. Seika approaches the principal, who realizes that he has figured everything out. Mabel was their way of hiding Amyu from the demons. The principal's plan was for Seika to win and bring Mabel back to the school. She explains that Rogrock wanted Kyle to win the tournament to elevate their mercenary's reputation. She thanks Seika, as they have managed to secure Mabel while Rogrock has lost his masterpiece, Kyle. Feeling sympathetic toward Mabel, the principal devises a way to use her trump card, Seika, in a manner that would allow Mabel to lose but survive. Having lived a long life, she understands how strong someone can be and has firm belief in Seika's ability to protect her. She asks Seika for his assistance as an upperclassman. When he inquires about her age, she playfully calls him a rude kid for asking. She replies that she stopped counting after 300. Seika returns to his friends and sees Mabel, who has now reverted her hair to its original color instead of the red she had dyed it. Mabel cries out to Yifa for help, claiming Seika is being a strict teacher. However, Yifa believes Seika is being too lenient, so she decides to take on the role of her teacher from now on. Summer break starts tomorrow, and Seika is preparing to investigate a dragon in the kingdom of Asteria in place of his father. Yifa believes that Seika's good grades must have led his father to think he is perfect for the job. Seika asks Yifa if she can accompany him, just as the Crown Prince of Asteria, Cecilio, arrives to meet Seika. Cecilio expresses his desire to see the Empire's Magic Academy while he is visiting. He takes Yifa's hand and asks her name, assuming she is a wise and noble lady. He proposes that she join his country's harem and become one of his wives. Yifa informs him that she is Seika's servant, and they proceed to a place where Seika asks him to elaborate on the dragon issue. Cecilio explains that the dragon of Asteria has lived in harmony with the people, but it has begun to act strangely over the past year. Seika inquires why the Asterian dragon had lived peacefully with the townspeople until now. Cecilio, unsure, mentions that many years ago, the dragon was hatched from an egg by the Queen of Asteria. He requests Seika to investigate the matter and offers to have dinner with them. Lise, another attendant, suggests that Cecilio should restrain himself. On the way back, Amyu pulls Seika aside and asks him to inform her and Mabel if he plans to give Yifa to the prince. 2 days later, Seika and Yifa leave the school in the prince's carriage, accompanied by his escorts. Yifa tells Seika that Prince Cecilio invited her to ride in his carriage before they departed. Seika feels happy to know that Prince Cecilio wants to include her in his harem, although he does not like it. 9 days later, they reach the old capital of Asteria, Proto-Aster. Seika spots the dragon flying in the area when a lava tiger suddenly attacks it. The tiger lunges toward Yifa, but Seika uses his earth phase to protect her. He rushes toward the lava tiger, but the summoner Zect gains control of the creature. Cecilio shouts at Zect for almost harming a guest from the Empire. Zect explains that the dragon has started attacking people recently. Cecilio introduces Zect to Seika, informing him that Zect is the head of a mercenary group he hired to slay the dragon using the lava tiger. Seika advises the prince to reconsider his decision, noting that the size difference makes the battle impossible. Zect responds rudely, but Cecilio stops him. Seika then asks Zect if he has obtained permission from the queen and the townspeople to slay the dragon, believing it to be a symbol of the nation. Cecilio suggests that Seika stay out of the matter. Seika scolds Yifa for not using her magic in dangerous situations. Although Cecilio attempts to intervene, Seika ignores him, not wanting Yifa to endure what he experienced in his past life. The next day, they decide to examine the documents about the dragon at the library. Seika, able to read the old language, discovers that the dragon was born several centuries ago, and indeed lived alongside the townspeople. He learns that another dragon came to Asteria to reside in the mountains with a newly arrived female dragon. 50 years later, the two dragons became wary and began scaring off those who approached them. After they had offspring, they left the nest once the young grew up. 50 years later, the female dragon died of natural causes, according to the records. Seika resolves to climb the mountain where the dragon resides, but Yifa warns him that it is too dangerous. That night, Yifa visits Seika's room and informs him that a maid had just told her Prince Cecilio was calling for her. Feeling scared to sleep alone, Seika offers for her to stay in his room. They lie together on the same bed, and Seika asks Yifa what she thinks of Prince Cecilio, probing whether she is considering joining his harem. She refuses, but Seika reassures her that she can pursue it if she genuinely wishes to. Yifa questions whether she is such a bother to him, apologizing for her behavior the previous day, and promising to learn other languages and to use magic when necessary. Seika clarifies that this is not what he meant. He acknowledges that being invited to a royal harem is an honor, and while he will miss her, he understands that everyone must choose their own paths eventually. They both fall asleep, and the next morning Seika discovers Yifa has returned to her own room. Yuki believes Seika was a bit harsh on her the previous night, and feels pity for Yifa, who has liked him since childhood. When Seika approaches Prince Cecilio, he finds the prince enjoying his tea. Seika tells him he heard Cecilio summoned Yifa last night. Cecilio admits that he wanted to speak with Yifa and explains what attracts him to her. He is drawn to Yifa's beauty and the air of wisdom about her, disregarding the closeness she shares with Seika. Seika, however, clarifies that they do not have that kind of relationship. Once again, Cecilio asks Seika to give Yifa to him, offering any amount of money he desires. Seika refuses, stating that he will not agree until Yifa herself expresses that wish. He informs the prince that he plans to climb the mountain, and while Cecilio knows it will take Seika several days to return, Seika hopes the prince does not have any ulterior motives. Seika heads toward the mountains empty-handed. Lise pulls Yifa aside for a private conversation. She begins by commenting on the magical energy that permeates the area, noting that it's overflowing. Lise then reveals that she can tell Yifa is a descendant of elves, recognizing her unique heritage. She continues, expressing her desire for Yifa to join the Asterian harem, emphasizing the honor it would bring. Lise questions whether Yifa plans to remain Seika's servant forever, suggesting that there might be more opportunities for her if she were to embrace her elven lineage. With a hint of seriousness, Lise adds that Seika is in fact a monster in his own right, implying that he possesses great power and danger. She encourages Yifa to consider her future and what it means to be tied to someone like Seika, hinting that there might be a choice to make between loyalty and personal ambition. The elementals avoid Seika, sensing something off about him, much like they would avoid a demon's miasma. Lise reassures Yifa, insisting Seika is human despite his oddities and noble background, urging her to distance herself from him for her safety. Meanwhile, Seika approaches the mountain and encounters the dragon. As it vaults over him, he summons Konaki Jiji and casts an asbestos net, showing unexpected mercy towards the creature. Near the dragon's egg, he realizes the truth behind the legend of the Asterian princess who hatched the dragon. Its gender has shifted from male to female, adding weight to the story. Yifa, on the other hand, explores the harem, which serves more than just the king's wives. It's a hub for political training. Lise informs her about the current queen, a formidable ruler, and the prince's anxiety about living up to her legacy, which drives his haste to find a wife. She encourages Yifa to support the prince. Back on the mountain, Seika struggles to warm the rocks and decides to return to the prince to assure him there's no threat. At the castle, Prince Cecilio inquires about Yifa's feelings towards the harem, revealing his intentions to buy her. He shows her to Gould for valuation, proceeding with paperwork to liberate her. Yifa insists that Seika's approval is necessary for her freedom. The prince threatens to conscript all slaves in Protoaster if Seika refuses, but Yifa remains resolute. As Yifa prepares to use her magic to escape, Lise erects a barrier to prevent her. Just then, Seika arrives with the dragon, who shatters the barrier. Seika announces his newfound friendship with the dragon and requests someone skilled in fire magic to warm the egg. He invites Yifa to ride the dragon with him, and they fly to the rocky resting place of the dragon. Suddenly, Zekt's lava tiger attacks. Seika blocks it with spells, and Yifa successfully defends him as well. After Seika reveals his identity as the world's strongest sorcerer, Zekt's men attempt to flee, but Seika doesn't let them escape, burning Zekt's spellbook. He commends Yifa for her mastery of water magic. Upon returning to the castle, Seika informs Prince Cecilio about the dragon's egg and its acceptance of him, asking for the prince's help to hatch it. The prince, still intent on killing the dragon, places Seika under arrest, suspecting foul play. In a surprising turn, the prince declares Yifa free, but she stands firm beside Seika and respectfully declines the prince's offer. Lise, acknowledging Seika's support in the dragon matter, privately discusses Yifa's feelings for him, gifting her rare healing elementals and wishing her luck. As they leave, Seika is relieved Yifa rejected the prince and playfully questions her ideal partner. After hearing her lofty standards, he advises her to compromise a bit if she hopes to find someone. In a darker subplot, Motorev finds amusement in slaughtering the weak, while Perslaria and Lo-Ni decimate goblins. Amidst the chaos, a boy, left powerless, attempts to summon an elder cyclops, but fails as the captain kills it, turning his sword on the boy as well. This captain is determined to fulfill his mission of defeating the hero, even at the cost of his own life. Princess Fiona is told to get ready. Seika asks Amyu if she would be willing to meet his family. His father is eager to meet a swordswoman proficient in all magical elements, and is also interested in Mabel, the daughter of Baron Crane. Although Seika is reluctant to go home, he understands the importance of blending in to avoid drawing attention, especially after the troubles of his past life. Upon arriving home, Seika introduces his friends to his brother Luft and is welcomed by Edis. Glai, a rival from his past, challenges Seika to a fight to reclaim his honor. Amyu steps in, wanting to face Glai instead, and Seika takes on the role of referee. However, Glai cleverly tricks Amyu, winning the match. Princess Fiona arrives, claiming it must be her destiny to witness this event. Seika is surprised by her presence. Glai, now aware of her status as the Holy Princess, decides to forego his vendetta against Seika. Fiona introduces herself and expresses admiration for Amyu's achievements, thanking Seika for agreeing to accompany her back to the capital. During dinner, the conversation turns to dragons, with Fiona expressing her desire to be reborn as one. Seika shares his experience riding a dragon in Asteria. Fiona mentions hearing about Mabel's adoption by the Crane family, prompting Seika's father to reflect on his decisions regarding Seika and Yifa. Edis acknowledges Seika's good standing in school, while their father thanks him for his help in Asteria. Surprisingly, Seika's mother instructs him to write home more often, leaving him stunned by her sudden warmth after years of neglect. That night, while Seika and Yuki chat, Amyu barges in unannounced, reminding Seika that they share a past. She discusses her plans to return to adventuring, and Seika vows to join her. Yuki points out that Seika initially befriended Amyu to leverage her powers for his own concealment. Seika agrees, recognizing their complicated dynamic. The next morning, Princess Fiona wanders through the market with Seika, Glai, and Amyu, holding Seika's hand as she explores. She asks Glai to buy her a treat and inquires about how one can get close to someone special. Seika advises that saving someone's life often fosters closeness. Intrigued, Fiona imagines the romance that could bloom from such moments. Their day continues at a construction site where a falling wooden stick nearly strikes Fiona. Glai and Amyu protect her using their powers, while Seika refrains from intervening, leaving him to wonder if he disappointed her. To make amends, he gifts Fiona a rubber band and ties her hair back. When she expresses a wish for a mirror, Seika quickly conjures one with magic, delighting her. Fiona promises to treasure his gift. As they observe Glai working diligently, Seika understands why Fiona chose him as her holy knight. Glai, however, suspects that his selection was part of a political maneuver rather than due to mere capability. He shares his belief that Fiona, once confined to her home, broke free to become famous, hinting that her mother was the Oracle Priestess, who foretold the prophecy of the hero and the Demon King. Glai advises Seika to remain cautious, warning him that Fiona's ambitions extend beyond personal desires. She has her sights set on the future of the Empire. Seika contemplates this advice, realizing the complexities of his situation and the potential consequences of becoming too entangled in Fiona's plans. Princess Fiona is on a quest to find Seika, but he's cleverly hiding from her. Yuki, aware of his antics, suggests he might ask about Fiona's ability to foresee the future using his own fortune-telling magic. Seika explains that the two concepts are fundamentally different and believes that by keeping his distance, Fiona will pose no threat to him. Suddenly, Amyu appears, startled to see Seika. She laments her loss to Glai in their recent match and expresses her frustration, prompting Seika to wonder why she, as a hero, couldn't defeat him. Seika reveals that he's hiding from Fiona, and Amyu mentions that the princess has been on the terrace, playing chess and looking forlorn. Seika decides to join her for a game, even though he knows he's a novice. Fiona suggests they play with fewer pieces, making it more manageable for him. Before the game begins, she proposes a wager, and Seika agrees. As they play, she asks him about the strongest chess piece in the world. Seika confidently replies that it's the players themselves, politicians who maneuver the game from behind the scenes. Fiona finds his answer intriguing, but she believes the true strength lies with the nameless masses that support them. Their conversation deepens as Seika questions her motivations, realizing she's determined to ensure her name is remembered in history. Fiona declares her intent to win the game, and when Seika asks if she knows the outcome, he catches on to her ability to foresee the future. She confirms that she can see possibilities, but she understands that futures can change. As they continue playing, Seika concedes defeat after recognizing he'll lose in 7 moves. Fiona expresses her delight in his acknowledgement of her skills when she shares her childhood fear of stew, which led to a humorous story about her transforming it into bread. Seika laughs, and she explains her desire to help others avoid pitfalls, like a child unaware of a danger ahead. Meanwhile, in a darker scene, Mudarev, a fearsome ogre, feasts on human meat while his companions discuss their strength and strategy for future battles. Captain Zormnem recognizes the growing power within his team and prepares them for the trials to come. Back with Seika, Luft bids farewell to him and his friends. Mabel expresses her desire to remain in the noble world, but Seika warns her that marrying a noble doesn't equate to an easy life. Glai urges everyone to hurry, prompting Fiona to joke about her near-death experience with Glai, which lightens the mood. As they travel in a carriage, Seika starts to feel unwell, prompting concerns about their safety. He questions Glai about bandit attacks, and suddenly, their carriage is ambushed. Seika swiftly uses his magnetic storm spell to defend against the bandits, while Glai steps in to protect Fiona, posing as an officer. Fiona instructs Seika to capture the bandits alive for political leverage against her enemies. Seika complies, showcasing his abilities and surprising the others, including Aoife, who feels uneasy about the bandits attacking a heavily guarded carriage. Fiona appreciates Seika's help and hopes to bring the captured bandits to the capital as evidence. As they approach the capital, Fiona acknowledges the challenges they face and expresses her gratitude for Seika's support. She reassures him that she stands by his side, no matter what lies ahead. Meanwhile, Zormnem and his team reflect on their arduous journey, feeling fortunate to have lost no one. He emphasizes their goal of defeating the hero, urging the group to prepare for the inevitable confrontation. The demons anticipate their return home after achieving victory, all while plotting their futures after the hero's defeat. The principal wants Seika to represent the current student body during the welcome ceremony for the new students. It is an honor to be asked and will also help him secure government employment. He agrees, and on his way back, Yuki asks him if it is wise to accept, considering he will be standing out once again. He believes this is what a normal student does, and now he thinks he may not need someone else to be the strongest in his place. He is interested in his upcoming life as an adventurer, so he decides to act a bit more like a regular student. Yuki questions whether he will run from the enemy instead of confronting them, as normal people might do. He denies this, stating he has no choice since he is already involved. They reach the Magic Academy and believe there is no threat to the gathering, because the hero is still a child. Zormnen revises the entire plan, stating they will drive the students toward the central building and continue their slaughter. If anyone identifies someone who resembles the hero, they must use their specialized magic items to signal. Even if they cannot find the hero, creating enough chaos should lure them out. After revising the entire plan, they are now ready to carry out their noble deed. They are confident they won't fail as they enter the building. Gull notices the fog, which is not present outside the walls. He sees Seika and Mabel in front of him and immediately attacks them with his magic. Loni and Pierslaria notice the fog, but it does not disturb them. Pierslaria relies on Loni, believing she has grown stronger. Loni thinks she is weaker than all of them. She was the best tamer in her village. Then she met the captain and Mudarev and embarked on a journey to learn new things. Pierslaria believes her power is useless in times of peace, which is why she sleeps constantly. However, she can't wait to tell her mom and dad that she defeated the hero. Loni's monster brings her something they found. Meanwhile, Mudarev the ogre is attacked by Mabel. She knows there is nobody like him in the Merchants Association. He has never heard of any Merchants Association, but Mabel seems unfazed by that. She immediately attacks him, and the fight begins between them. Mabel remains on the defensive, suddenly delivering a heavy strike, but Mudarev dodges it. She throws her daggers toward him and uses her magic. He remains unharmed, delivering a brutal hit, but she disappears. After a while, they all gather in the same place. They display the talismans on the ground and wonder if it is some kind of magic. Zormnem orders them to retreat, but suddenly they hear Seika reciting a poem. The poem is by a certain swordsman who battled Ayakashi. The phrase means, "Be wary of visitors who come at dusk. What looks like a child may suddenly bear fangs and wreath itself in an unholy fish." He tells them that they didn't realize that every person here is one of his Shikigami, but only Mudarev fought the real girl Mabel. Mudarev shouts at Seika and challenges him, but he kills Mudarev by taking off his head by his curses. Pierslaria goes to kill Seika. Seika sees she is a Tria. Seika summons the White Snake and Ayakashi that was originally an aged viper who kills Pierslaria. Meaty tries to attack the White Snake, but himself hot-killed. Loni talks to the White Snake, calling it her friend, but Zormnem shouts and instructs her to run. Instantly, the white snake consumes her, and Seika wonders if she was trying to tame it. Zormnem realizes that nothing about Seika is normal, and that he was mistaken to think this party had any chance of defeating the monster. He instructs Gull to run and inform their allies about Seika, the Demon King. Seika expresses pity for them, knowing they will not be able to kill the hero Amyu, because she has him protecting her. Seika is the most terrible Demon King who has allied himself with humans. Seika kills Zormnem, and while Gull manages to escape, Seika slashes his chest with a simple talisman. Yuki is terrified because Seika doesn't even need a catalyst for his curses. Meanwhile, Mabel approaches him to inform him that an assassin from the Merchants Association is looking for her. He realizes that Mabel has been on guard against assassins the whole time, so the spell could not stop her from pursuing her goal. Seika tells her that the assassin was not after her, but after Amyu, and he has already defeated him. Sometime later, they are having dinner and discussing the upcoming speech that Seika will deliver. Amyu mentions that she was not nervous during her time because she thought, this whole speech thing is stupid. She recounts what she intended to say back then if the demons had not interrupted. Seika feels bad for Amyu, knowing she is unaware that demons are after her. As Seika is about to give his speech, the Dirac Knights suddenly enter on the orders of their master, Marquis Greville. They are searching for Amyu, because she has committed crimes against the Empire. She is informed that she has committed a grave offense by slaying a demon emissary who visited the academy the other day. The order for Amyu's immediate arrest is given. Amyu is captured and placed under arrest, refusing to admit her situation is dire. Seika reassures her that he believes she will be released, as she is innocent. He approaches the principal, who reveals she is applying pressure on the imperial court regarding the situation. She warns Seika to refrain from taking matters into his own hands. After leaving the principal's office, Seika informs Mabel and Aoife that they need to wait for updates, as the principal is handling everything. That night, Seika summons Mizuchi, but Yuki cautions him against acting impulsively. She reminds him that revealing his power might attract unwanted attention. Despite the warnings, Seika mounts Ryu and heads west, determined to rescue Amyu. Meanwhile, Amyu is imprisoned and in tears. Seika uses his Shikigami to locate her and stealthily infiltrates the castle. He fights off guards with spells, utilizing his white flames and summoning a sickle weasel to eliminate the threats. Upon reaching Amyu, she scolds him for coming to save her and insists he return to school. Seika counters, explaining the significance of her identity as the hero, the reincarnation that appears alongside the Demon King every few centuries. He warns her that her existence poses a threat, leading to her potential execution. Just as they plan to escape, Glai and Princess Fiona appear. Seika demands answers about Amyu's fate. Fiona explains that the hero once symbolized hope in a small nation, but times have changed, and a single hero is no longer sufficient to conquer cities. The existence of both the hero and the Demon King is now seen as a relic of the past. Seika suggests they disregard Amyu since she no longer serves a purpose. Fiona counters that the hero's potential can spark war, which everyone seeks to avoid. She asserts that Amyu will never reach the power of the last hero, while Seika is there to protect her, and she refuses to let Amyu die for the sake of peace. Princess Fiona promises to protect Amyu and urges Seika to leave for now, assuring him he won't face repercussions for his actions. She brings them to a carriage, instructing them to head to the free city of Rachna, where she has already arranged for their safety. Amyu expresses gratitude for Fiona and Glai's encouragement during her imprisonment. Before departing, Seika apologizes for not keeping their promise during the chess game. He uses magic to revert the chaos he caused, while Fiona plans to claim a powerful demon attacked, masking the truth. As they ride away, Fiona observes from the castle, intrigued by Seika's power and his unusual relationship with the hero. Seika reflects on needing to apologize to Mabel and Aoife, while Amyu worries about their status at the academy. She admits she regrets missing his speech to new students, but expresses her excitement about visiting Rachna. Determined to embrace her path as an adventurer, she resolves to do her best moving forward. Alright fam, let's break this down. So after watching the whole video, we're super curious about your thoughts, like, what do you think is going to happen next? First off, Seika, the Demon King. Do you think he's gonna help Amu out, or is he low-key putting humanity in danger by sticking by her side? It's a real moral dilemma, right? And then there's the big question. Can Seika actually assist Amu on her journey? Are they gonna become this legendary duo of adventurers? Or is it gonna get messy? Drop your theories and feelings below. We're all about that discussion. If you want to stay in the loop with all the latest content we drop, make sure you smash that bell icon, hit that like button, and subscribe to the channel. Let's keep this vibe going and move forward together.